Hey everyone, this is Steve Weintraub with Collider, and I am at the Kia Telluride Supper Suite at Sundance. I want to give a huge thank you to Kia for being an awesome sponsor, which allows us to support indie cinema and movies like this. First of all, congratulations to everyone to being part of the Sundance Film Festival.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
I have to ask, I believe this is your directorial feature debut.
Yes.
Mike.
Yeah, sorry.
Right. We're going to start right from the beginning.
No.
So I want to start with something. So this is your feature debut, and it's sometimes hard to cast a movie. And I just want to know, how did you get so many compromising pictures to put this cast together?
Yeah, it was. I think everything started with the script. In a sense, like I just focused like several years just trying to write the best script I could write. And then I started sharing with my managers, agents, and also had support from the Sundance Institute. The screenplay went through the Sundance Labs. They were like phenomenal and helped me so much. And then after that, just like sending to people and having people read the script, I think pretty much was like how it started.
You do realize, I mean, there has to be an element in your brain when you look around at all these people like, holy F.
Yes, it's surreal. It's just amazing, unbelievable.
I hate asking the generic question, but no one watching this interview, or most people watching this interview, will not have seen the movie yet. So how have you been describing the film to friends?
It's I say it's a drama sci-fi, and it happens in this distant reality, and we have interviewers, and they interview souls. And these souls, they look like just people like us, but they never lived before, but they already have like the hints of their personality, like what they could become if they're born or something like that. And so we show the life of the process of one of those interviewers during the period of 9 days. And this interviewer, in the end of this process, is going to select one soul to be born, and all the other souls are just going to disappear.
It's not heavy at all.
Not heavy at all. No stakes at all, yeah.
Right. For all of you guys, I would imagine that everyone reads a lot of scripts, and there's a lot of choices and stuff like that. For each of you, what was it about this project and this story, the script, that said, I want to be in this?
Well, for me, it was just loaded with all these opportunities, right? So when I look at a script, I always try to look at the arc of the character, and a major thing for me is that the character ends in a different place than where he started. And this movie, my character, Will, the interviewer, climbs pretty much a mountain. That's how much he goes through. That's how much change and transformation. And then the other thing I always think about is, how would the narrative and the impact of the narrative change because of my body attached to it? If this story was played by 5'10" white male, it would be a different story. And it's a story that deals with a lot of intellect and psychology and psychiatry. And in extension, with me being attached, it becomes black psychology. And it's really powerful, especially being able to see a narrative dealing with something like that when it doesn't get dealt with in everyday mainstream society very much. You don't get to see black bodies being looked at for the psychology of the person. It's always something physical, and it was a really great opportunity in that way.
I will say, hearing Winston's voice above you feels like God. It's just this presence is over me.
I choose you, Tony.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Finally.
I will say that for me, this script was I'd never read a script like it. It's a truly original script. There's a lot of things about it that are really incredible, but that was one of the first things that struck me as how original it was.
I think there's also something really cool about world building and creating new rules. And, a lot of times I think a script that's exploring that can miss the emotional point, or kind of, in the attempt to make sure this new place makes sense and all the rules are following each other and there's no sort of holes. And I feel like this story really encapsulated both. So it's like this really fun, cool new thing to play with. As an actor, essentially, these we're all candidates besides Winston's character, and we're new souls that are experiencing everything for the first time, sort of babies in adult bodies, and so exploring that kind of in sort of not being a human is a fun thing to do, while also carrying really great themes and emotional depth and having arcs for everyone. So it's just a really great story.
And I think it also allows the audience to kind of, root for who deserves to live as well, and that's kind of fascinating to watch.
I agree with everything.
Yeah, I also agree, and I with almost everything, and then no everything, and then everything. That's my character actually. I'm terrified. My character's very terrified, but I feel like the script really hits you. Like when you first start reading it, it's like a very intellectual experience. It's fascinating. Like it's a cool kind of mind experiment, and then slowly it becomes like a heart, and then at the end, it's a very soulful movie. And it kind of but it's also a thriller. Yeah, I was flipping through it, and I wasn't. You're laughing, and then you're surprised, and at the end of it, you're probably crying. So yeah.
Tony, do you want to add?
Well, it's similar to a lot of my work. So, no, I really, my thing is, I obviously loved the script. Edson and I FaceTimed meeting each other for the first time, and you get a vibe from somebody when you're about to work with them, and it was just a really comfortable vibe. And here's the thing: we've all been on gigs where you kind of ask, is somebody captaining the ship? Like it feels kind of unsteady, and we always knew that Edson was fully captaining the ship. Like it was a really comfortable, and it's like, okay, someone's got this, someone's on track, even though, because we as artists are just kind of like, we can get a little scatterbrained, and just knowing somebody is at the front is a huge gift.
A question for you. I'm fascinated by the editing room because that's the final rewrite. I asked this of all directors. What maybe surprised you when you stepped in the editing room that maybe you weren't expecting?
Oh, that's a good question. A lot of things, It's just so much like I feel like pretty much you have an idea before you get to the editing room, and I feel like especially for something like this, which is a performance-based piece, just allowing the performance to say what's going to be the movie, what's going to be the structure of the movie. So at first I felt like, it needs to be like this. But then watching the performance, I thought I think that the performers have to, guide me in order to create this movie, rather than the opposite. I think.
And my follow-up, of course, is I would imagine that you showed the movie to some friends and family, or you did some sort of test screening. What did you learn from those early screenings that impacted the finished film?
Oh, a lot of stuff. We had like a lot of screenings. Like I think that 10 or even more.
It's funny, we weren't invited to any of them.
but mostly with people who were not related to or have no idea what the movie was about, because for something that's like as high concept like this piece, you want someone who's really watching with fresh eyes, that someone who never read the script or don't know me or anyone here can watch the movie and feel like, I can understand the story, or I can connect with those characters. And your question was what I learned, right, from the...
Yeah, maybe what changes you might have made.
What changed? A lot of things. I feel like mostly that it's all about the emotional connection rather than being intellectual or looking cool or good. Because I feel like there's this script, it can go in a way that is kind of this beautiful, very... different visuals and stuff like that. But I think in the end, it's more like, if they don't connect with the characters, it doesn't work at all.
Completely.
So it was more about how can I added in a way that they can have more connection with each character. And it was great because also from every different person who was watching the movie, I learned that they could identify with different characters. Like some people say, oh, I like Mike, or some people, oh, I like to be like Alexander or Kane. So it was very, very interesting, and treating all these characters as real people, and just like how can I add and show these features in order to show, oh, these people are alive. So I think that was the best learning from the process.
For all of you guys, I would imagine making every movie or whatever project you're on, there's always a day or two that you'll always remember. Maybe like just a fun memory, a day you really screwed up, or whatever it may be, whatever you'd like to share. Would you mind sharing something you'll always remember from the making of the film?
I think we have a scene, without giving away spoilers, but we shot out in the salt flats. Some of the characters that are here, and it was I've never been out of the salt flats before. We shot the film in Salt Lake City here, and the place itself was just a magical spot. And then we had this really long scene, and we shot in. Yeah, it was like it was the last night of shooting, wasn't it?
Till about 4
and it was
in
like
the morning.
until like
Yeah.
2-3 in the morning. And it was just, it was like, I really remember that, of us kind of just bonding. And this scene was like, what, 3-4 pages of just dialogue? More, 5, 6, yeah. And
Even more or something.
yeah,
Losing our minds a bit.
we were losing our minds in a good way.
And the movie's shot in order, so all of this, is essentially, as the actor, you have gone through this as the character. You've gone through all the moments that lead up to this moment that we're describing, and it's just beautiful because you really get to be there, and you're just playing in your present, and it was magical, and the landscape of Utah itself added so much to this movie. It was pretty much the final character. So when you read the script, you internalize all these different things, but until you get into the space, until you get into the landscape, it just wasn't complete, and that day it was complete. Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to add?
I can't, because I will give a big spoiler away, so I can't share.
I respect that.
I agree. That scene I really enjoyed. I think also because a lot of the candidates don't interact much in the film. We more have a relationship with Will, and it was really fun to also have sort of an ensemble, or a scene with multiple actors, and so that was a fun thing to play with. And I'd say one of my other memorable moments, which I can't really talk about because it would give away the film, but it was also filmed out in the Salt Flats, outside, and that was with me and Winston, and I'd say that was one of the most connected and sort of fulfilling and muse guided sort of experience I think I've had in my professional career, which is really special. Yeah. So
How much? I was going to say, who paid you $5 to say that? Was it him? Right. I'm just. Did you have anything? Yeah, I told you it happens a lot.
The rainbow.
There was so the final day of shooting, after we shot the entire movie, we ended at maybe 9 in the morning. Because we would start on a Saturday and run all the way through a Wednesday, and our weekend would be Thursday and Friday. So it would start off at 7 a.m. and gradually get later during the week. So the final day, we get done at 9 a.m. We walk out the studio, and there's a double rainbow. Double rainbow. And that was it just capped off this most amazing experience, and it just was like the heavens have aligned.
What no one told you was that was a matte painting. Yes.
Jason Berman produced the rainbow.
I didn't want to spoil it until now. I want to say thank you sincerely so much for coming in. I cannot wait to watch the movie at the premiere tonight. And I'm assuming the movie's for sale at the fest, or is it already? So I hope it sells immediately. That's my.
Thank you.
Right.
Bless.
Thank you all so much for coming into the studio.